Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the pattern tool and the hole tool in order to get all of the holes you would need for a cribbage board. And so what I've already done is I've already made a the basic shape of my cribbage board. It's going to be 5 by 10. I picked that because 5 inches by 10 inches is about the same size as the bed I have for my CNC machine. If you are going to make this out of 2 parts, it could be longer. It would just be each part would have to be a little bit less than this 5 by 10. This kind of maxes our CNC machine out. Okay. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a sketch on the front here, and I'm going to add a point, and that's going to be for the first hole. And I'm going to dimension that, and just for this it's a point, so I'm going to do the location. So I've got 0.75 here, 0.75 here, and that's pretty close. And this is a total of 10 inches, and I want to kind of have a little border of about 0.75 to the center of the outer holes. And so I'm going to take 10 minus 0.75 times 2, which is 1.5, and I'm left with 8.5 inches. Okay? So I'm going to remember that number really quick, and that's going to be my width. And so I've got my sketch. Turn those off, don't need them right now. I'm going to make a hole. Usually it's about 1/8 of an inch, and the depth is usually maybe 1/4 inch or something like that. You want it deep enough that the pegs will go in, but not so deep that they get lost in there. And usually 1/4 inch is pretty good. And I've already selected the one. It's a simple hole, which is good. It's blind, meaning it goes and then stops. And then I've got my diameter and my depth all figured out. Good. And so there we've got our first hole. Now what I'm going to do is I know that for a cribbage board I need to have 30 holes in width, and each one is grouped up into 5. And so I've got groups of 5 along there. So I've got 6 groups of 5, and in between there's usually a gap. And then on the one end will be another set of holes, and then another gap. And so what I usually do is I make them so that it's the total number of holes. Anywhere there's a gap, I also include a hole for my pattern. And then what I do is I kind of cover those up, and I exclude those somehow. So I'm counting, and I'm seeing that I have the 30 holes, plus the one more for kind of the start and the end. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different gaps. And so if I'm adding that all up, I've got 30 plus 6, or 31 plus 6, 37. So I kind of need 37 equally spaced things, and then I'm just going to exclude those 6 that aren't included. And so for this, I'm going to use a linear pattern. And notice I kind of find it easier to use a linear pattern when we're talking about features. So I'm going to do feature pattern as opposed to a sketch. And the thing I want to pattern is going to be this hole. So that's that first thing. The direction, you are going to pick a line that is parallel and goes in the same direction as the that hole. So we're going to have the instances, and I selected this edge because it's parallel to the way I want my holes to go. The instances, so that's going to be, what is that, 37 of those. And the distance, I don't know what that distance is, but if I'm going to try this out. I'm going to do, I know that I'm going to have 8.5 inches, but I'm going to divide that into 37 equal spaces, and I'm going to see if that gets me. Actually, I'm being reminded that I have to think about the number of gaps, and so I'm actually going to see if it's one less, and so I'm going to have one more instance than I have on the denominator here, and I believe that works right there. It seems like kind of a mess, but that's going to be okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in a second direction. Usually you have two rows, so an up and then a back. And so I'm going to select a second direction going along this line right here. Instances, this time it's only 2 in that direction. And what I could do is kind of say the same thing. I could say 0.236 and see what that looks like. That's too close, I think. I like them a little further away. So I might say 0.375, that's 3/8 of an inch. And that seems like a pretty good distance. They're not right next to each other, but they're still fairly close. We know they're from the same track, so to speak. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a new sketch right here. And we've got this tool called use/project. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to project the circles, the holes, for all of the ones I want to exclude. So I've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These two, going to exclude those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exclude those. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exclude these circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exclude these circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exclude these circles, and then 5 left. All right. Double check that I have the lines, the outlines, and must have skipped those. I got just the centers, so I'm going to make sure I have those outer circles all selected. Okay. And then I'm going to hit OK on my sketch. And I'm hoping that I can extrude these shapes right here. So this one, and this one. I'm going to go here and here, and then here. Oh, I accidentally selected it, so I can click on it again. And again. And notice that I am I'm allowing this to look wrong. Like this isn't the way, but it helps me to kind of see what I'm doing. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add material. It's not going to be blind. It's going to be through all, or actually to next. And then I'm going to flip the direction. And what that's going to do is it's going to add material until it hits the bottom of the hole, and that should be good. And it merges with my part 1. That's good. And so I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to notice that those holes got all taken out. The next step for my cribbage board is to mirror, but in order to mirror, we actually need to have a mirror plane. We need to have a mirror to show it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a mid-plane, and I know it's kind of in the middle of this, and looking on the other side, this one. And so what I should see is a plane going through the middle of this part. That's all good. So again, that's a mid-plane, and selecting both sides of this, the long sides. And then from there I can mirror, and for me I like to again feature mirror, and I'm just going to select here. I'm going to select this linear pattern, but also this extrude. And then it asks for this mirror plane, and so I'll select that, click right there, and you can see I've got the same thing. Ooh, it forgot that first hole, and so what I'm going to do is actually select, go back up to features to mirror and select that hole, and you can see I've got all this all done, all good. Okay, so now I've got 2 tracks. This is a 2-person cribbage board, and what you can actually do as well, if you want, you could make this actually a linear pattern and do a pattern of a pattern and have 3 of them wide this way. But I like to mirror it, and then I like to kind of laser or put some sort of paint, maybe a decoration kind of down the middle as well. So that's really quick, really fast way of doing a cribbage board.